This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. We love our animals, especially our dogs. And many of us have service dogs. How does one get the certification to make their dog a service dog? What's involved in that? We're going to dig into that. She helps people get dogs certified all the time. I'm clueless when it comes to this. I've heard about it. I know that, even some friends feel that they need their dog as a service dog to bring them with them in different situations and scenarios. And this is just a part of what she offers as the owner of the Animal Psychology Center. This is what she does. She connects with animals in many different ways. Katherine Andrews is back on with us. How are you doing today?
Hey, hi, good morning. Doing really well, loving this cool fall weather and subject that I'm always excited to talk about is the journey that I love to take people on to get their dog certified to be a service dog. It involves getting them in better communication into a deeper relationship with their dog, which is always a lot of fun. And you learn a lot about yourself and your dog. And it's always great to have the option of taking your dog with you when you're going to a place that's stressful, which is a lot of places these days, Walmart, Sam's Club, going to a concert or a place where there's going to be a lot of people, because who doesn't have some social anxiety or PTSD? And yeah, I help people do that, and I help people all over the country do that. We can accomplish that through Zoom. And yeah, that's
Hmm.
important for me.
Well, let's work our way backwards. Now, you
Okay.
mentioned bringing your service dog into stores. What are some of the other, call it, benefits of having a certification for your dog?
Well, if you're going to be, say, taking a vacation and you are thinking about taking your dog with you, and you're like, well, we're going to be going through, South Dakota, and it's going to be hot, and we're going to be going to restaurants, and we don't want to leave our dog in the car. Now you can bring your dog in, tuck them into a booth under the table. You don't have to leave your dog in the vehicle. You have an option of taking your dog, and uh, who doesn't want to do that? We don't get to
Mm.
spend enough time with our dog usually as it is. So yeah, you just get the added benefit if you want to take your dog on a trip, like say it's nighttime and you want to go make a trip to Walmart. It's not that safe sometimes being in a parking lot, especially if you're a woman or a young person, to go someplace, and you've got that added, uh, you're not by yourself. And they've done studies. If a perpetrator sees you with a dog, they're going to pick somebody else. They're not going to approach you. So that is a benefit of having someone with you to offer you some protection and a buffer against the rest of the world.
Sure, sure. Is it, what's the process? Is it training that they need to go through that we as their person needs to go through?
Both of you. It's a partnership. So your dog is going to go through an evaluation with me to see if there's something that might keep them from being a service dog, because they have to have a good temperament. They have to be able to be socially acceptable with other animals and people and kids and so forth. And then the two of you go through training together. And you need to learn the state laws and what's acceptable for you and your dog in public, because service dogs need to be what you call invisible and
Hmm.
respectful and polite. So we learn all of that on that journey.
Wow. Which can be a long journey depending on the dog. If you have a
Mhm.
dog that's, the temperament is good, except maybe they get a little excited occasionally. Maybe they bark at other dogs. Is those things, which are pretty much normal for the average dog, is that something that we would work on to improve?
Totally. Yeah, right. Those are things that we fix along the way so that we have a dog that is socially, we call socially acceptable in all situations. And those are fixable things. That's just a dog that doesn't have the right social skills. So we sharpen their social skills, their sense of boundaries, and open up the world to them so that they understand more of the world and how it operates. And then we partner them with you so that you're the leader, they're the follower, and they're your backup wherever you go.
Now,
And when they know that, when they understand that, then you are their primary focus, not the rest of the world. And when that changes, they're not as focused on other dogs and things. And that's why a service dog, when they go into a grocery store, they're not focused on the food that's there. They're focused on their job, which is to be with you and to see if there's um, anything that is getting in your way or bothering you. They're focused on you.
I recently went through an airport, actually two, and they had trained dogs there. And I was in awe just watching that dog. And it's exactly why I'm bringing it up is you brought up that vision that I had. And that dog kept looking back at the person handling it, like just getting approval. We good? Yeah, okay. And then they
Mhm.
would just, point to a suitcase and the dog would just go over there and then look around and then like just keep looking back. Like you
It's
said,
so, yeah, it's
oh
like
my gosh, the
it's
best.
so cool. Yeah, it's so cute to see
Yes,
them doing their job. It's like precious,
totally.
because they take their job so seriously and they love their job. And a lot of people will bring me dogs with behavioral problems, and those are the dogs that make the best service dogs because they have behavioral problems because they're bored and they don't have enough to do. And they have a genetic program to be a working dog. They're a corgi or a border collie or a shepherd or a Doberman. They want something to do. And when you give them a job, they're like, thank you, Jesus. I have something to do and to focus on. And they love it. They absolutely love to work. You
Wow.
get their vest out, you get their collar out. They're like, what are we doing? Where are we going? They love it.
Mm. Yeah, my dog will be like that. He wants to be in a vehicle. So if
Yeah.
even if he hears, a car outside, he'll go out, yeah, we going somewhere? What are we doing? Hey, hey, hey. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, we're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I mean, every dog, every situation is different, but how long does it typically, how many sessions does it on average? Again, it's going to vary because it all depends on
Right.
the dog. On average, what do you think it would take in terms of the number of sessions to get a dog to the point where it's certifiable?
Well, we start a dog about 6 months of age. Sometimes people come to me with dogs that are 2 years old. I'm training a dog right now that's 8 years old to be a service dog, so it's never too late. The oldest dog I've trained was 16 years old to be a service dog. So older dogs take less time because they know more. And older dogs probably like 8 sessions, younger dogs maybe like 10 to 12 sessions. And the program that I do that most people do is a program whereby I provide the coaching and the person does the training. So I teach you how to train your dog. And then there's two tests that you take to the dog needs to pass with you. The two of you need to pass. And then once you pass those two tests, you are certified as a team. And after that, if you want to do what's called task training, which is training your dog to do something to help you with your disability, like pick up a dropped phone or provide stability for you if you're in a wheelchair or you have problems getting downstairs or standing up, that kind of thing. We do that after certification. So, yeah,
Hmm.
that's kind of in a nutshell the journey.
Does someone have to have a deep, real meaning or reason to get their dog certified. Let's say somebody just says, I want my dog with me wherever I go. I feel comfort in that. And yeah, I want to take him with me to a store. No matter where I go, I want to get him certified.
If someone is saying that they would feel more comfortable with their dog with them, then they're telling me that they have a certain amount of anxiety or trepidation about being out in society. If someone who doesn't want their dog with them doesn't have that. Does that make sense? They
Totally.
don't have any trepidation or anxiety about society. In fact, they want to leave their dog home. And so, yeah, if you have that, then you have what would be classified technically, legally as a disability, which is called social anxiety.
Wow. Okay. What's the process? Where does it start? Somebody connects, somebody is interested in getting the certification for their dog. They reach out to you. What are some of the starting points?
We do an interview and we talk about what their dog knows and what their dog doesn't know, and we get a starting point and we do an evaluation over the phone. And yeah, we get a starting point from what their dog knows and doesn't know, and then once we get a starting point, I build a training program for them designed to start taking the first test. And the first test is about obedience, social skills, manners, boundaries, um, that type of thing. And then the
How do
second,
you do that? How do you do that virtually? That's what I'm trying to get a grasp on that. So here we are.
Mhm.
Would you direct me in terms of what I should do with my
Sure.
dog to see, if how obedient they are as you watch a screen?
Sure. I'm going to ask you, go over an obedience test. What does your dog know? Does your dog know how to sit? How long can your dog do a sit stay? What kind, and we go over the different sit stays. There's a sit stay where your dog sits and stays and you walk away 10 feet, 20 feet. There's a sit stay where you walk away 10 feet, 20 feet, and then you go pick your dog up. We go through all these checkpoints of what your dog can do and the things that your dog cannot do. Then we talk about how do you train those points. We talk about doing a down. We talk about how to tuck your dog into under a table or into a booth. We talk about distractions. Has your dog been around city streets? Has your dog been in a grocery store and been around food at eye level? All of the things that a service dog would be exposed to, as well as all of has your dog been around cats or small animals or children or older people? Has your dog been around a wheelchair or noises like a jackhammer
Mm.
or large equipment? All of those things we have to expose your dog to and make sure that your dog is uh, educated about all of those things because they're going to encounter those things as they are out in the world. And many times dogs that are pets have not encountered all those things.
So use mine as an example. My dog is fairly acclimated. I can take him out, noise, traffic, no issues. People, he's fine. If somebody wants to pet him, he's like, "Oh, great. Hey, yeah, you can pet me." Um, Maybe 1 in 10 dogs, he'll bark at them. I don't know why. He just does. But the sit, stay command, if I have food, I can get him to sit and lay down for a moment. But basic training, I think what we're talking about there, that type of dog would need to go through that type of training for the certification, right?
Right. And he would have to develop more patience and more focus to be able to hold that sit stay for a longer period of time. Yeah.
Hmm.
However, much time that takes, the test requires like 2 minutes. So, and then I would teach you how to train that because obviously you're telling me he doesn't know that, then we would have to train that. And for the test, he would have to be able to do that
When
for
he was
his
like a
cert.
year or two old, went to one of those big stores, and they had a little bit of training, and that's where he picked that up in terms of the sit, then the down, and then his remembrance of it has degraded over years, but
Right.
if to
Yeah.
have the treat, he'll like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do it real quick. All right, give me the treat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a long process? Those basic dog training commands, does that potentially can take a long time to learn?
It can. It depends on how often you spend. Usually I recommend twice a day for short periods of time, maybe 15, 20 minutes. Um, if you do that, you're probably talking about maybe spending a couple months on your basic obedience, manners,
Mm,
boundaries, and then taking the test is
yeah.
usually about average what it takes. And then, when you hit points that you're having problems with, then we do some coaching over Zoom. And, I look at you and what you're doing with your dog. And then we talk about the finer points and I'll tell you, okay, here's the mistake you're making. When you're doing a sit stay, you are not keeping his focus. You got to maintain eye contact. You point at him with
Mm,
your finger. You use your energy to hold him there. And you got to get more serious about it because he's playing with you. He's not taking this seriously enough. You have to make him understand this is a new day. This is his job now, and he has to do this. So you have to get into the energy of sit down, stay there, cut it out, do this right now. So a lot of times it just takes a little bit of a different tone with you because they're not used to having a job and they're not used to taking that seriously.
yeah. Yeah. Well, the only thing you take serious is the treats.
Yeah,
Like,
right. Yeah.
he's very food motivated, which I guess is that a good thing overall?
You know, it is for training purposes. For the test, we don't use the food. So you use it for training purposes for motivation, but then the motivation has to be your relationship with him. And that's what we're building when we're going through the training.
Wow.
When we're going through the training, we're also making you a better leader. So when you get serious with him and you throw down some boundaries and you get lower your voice and point at him and say, look, buddy, you need to do this. You're not being mean. What you're doing is you're creating respect. And, like Aretha said, RESPECT, honey, that's a good thing. You
Yeah.
want respect and you should have it. And when you get that from your dog, and you become the pack leader and they're the follower, that relationship becomes better.
As we said, even looking at the dog at the airport, it's wonderful. Just seeing it's almost like a different dog. If you
Oh
visualize
yeah.
your dog acting
Yeah.
like that, and it's not like you said, you're not being mean, you're not being stern. You're giving them a job. You're like that movie from back in the day, A Dog's Purpose. They have a purpose, and it must feel great to them.
Yep,
You
it
know.
does. They're so proud of themselves. And when we start doing this work,
Mm,
and sometimes people do, they feel sorry for the dog. Like, oh, I'm making it for the dog. Well, you know, you're going to see how proud. And then the dog does do these things and they see how proud they are. And they're like, you know what? You were right. I mean, wow, he really feels proud of himself and he really likes it when I'm kind of more of a badass because he feels more secure. I mean, think about it. If you're a good leader, your dog or your children or whoever, they want to follow you. When you're not a good leader and you're kind of wishy-washy, they don't want to follow you. They
mm.
play you, they like you, but they don't respect you as much. So, being a good leader is a good thing.
You know, I think I used to look at those dogs like, oh, look at them, they're working hard. I feel so bad for them. I don't look at it that way now. I look
Yeah,
at
well, good. Yeah.
maybe I'm a better read of dog energy, but I look at that dog like, yeah, he's happy. Look at him, please.
Hmm.
Like I
Hmm.
feel pride. I feel that
Yeah.
coming from that animal. I
Yeah.
want I want to go to an email. By the way, you can reach us anytime, instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. This is from Christine in Newark, New Jersey. She said, I appreciate your conversation. You said animals know what we're thinking. Do they always know, or do we need to send that thought to them? Hmm.
They always know. They're on that channel. Sometimes they do get a little rusty if they're not spoken to on that channel for long periods of time. But if you really quiet your mind and like she just said, purposely send that thought, they'll get it. And you can see them, you can watch them, and you can see when they get it because they get this little light turns on and they make eye contact. So the first thing that you're going to see is that little light turns on and the eye contact comes up. So watch for that.
Do you feel that they get it, but some things they may not be getting with the same level of importance that you have on it? They might have, they're getting it, whatever you're throwing out there, but that's why maybe sometimes you need to reinforce it, whatever that thing is. Do you think, does it
Sure.
work that way?
Sure, absolutely. That's why we talk about body language and we talk about lowering your voice so they get that intention fully. Especially if in the past you haven't been as good a leader or you haven't put that emphasis on whatever it is that you're conveying. So, yeah, body language is huge with animals, with dogs, and intention is huge. So, when you do use your voice, you use it with that intention. You either when you're playing, you're kind of happy, you're sort of playful, but when you're serious, you lower your voice and you get serious. Let them know, ain't playing with you right now. You need to do your job.
Mm. And with love, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Oh, there's nothing that you do without love. Love is totally in everything that I teach and that I do. That's a good point that you just made. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
all with love, all done with love. Absolutely.
It's okay. Maybe they did some. They piddled on the floor, whatever it is. You're not happy about it, but you need to approach it from a standpoint of love. There's a reason they did it. Usually it's not just I'm going to do this today because I'm feeling like it. There's usually a connection to the reason why, isn't there?
Sure. Right. My little pug started piddling on the floor recently, and because turns out she was on a medication that was making her drink more, and she didn't have control of her bladder. And so usually, yeah, it was good to not jump to that conclusion because usually animals rarely have bad intention, unlike people. People are more manipulative.
Yeah.
Animals are not as much. They're pretty transparent, and they are big on truth telling. They pretty much let you know what they're thinking.
So cool. Once you get into the mind of a dog, it's pretty fascinating. Um, there's a lot more going on there than we realize. How do we connect with you, Catherine? If somebody's looking either to change the behavior of their dog, maybe some training, maybe they're looking to make their dog a service animal, how do we find you?
Website is animalpsychologycenter.com. Yeah, just drop me an email, give me a call.
I love all this. I think it's so exciting. And I see since we started talking, I always respected dogs and animals in general, but I see it in a whole different light. There's a lot more they're aware of than we really know. And it's time to tap
Yeah,
into it.
it is. It's a whole new world, isn't it?
It really is. All right. Appreciate you being here. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, take
Thanks.
care.
We'll be right back.
Bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.